Okay, so we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Connected with Cari here on Jess TV, Jess FM. If you're tuning in through the Underground Radio C platform, welcome to the show. If you are over in the Italy area through the NCG television network over there, thank you for joining us. This lovely, beautiful, I think it's Sunday in Italy. I want to say that they're ahead of us. But it's Saturday, June 29th. Can you believe it's the end of June already? Every time I do a show, because they're a week apart, I'm realizing that the time is just like whoosh, going by so fast. And I realize I've been doing season 8 for quite a while now, and I'm realizing I have to wrap up this season to welcome in season 9. However, I have guests right through the summer, and usually I take the summer off, but I'm not going to be doing that this year. So it's like one thing after another. And it is beautiful outside here in Calgary, Alberta. Wherever you guys are in the world, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time to be here because I know it's beautiful outside. Some of you are out and enjoying it. Next week, of course, the Calgary Stampede starts. So that'll be a tougher show to get an audience, but hopefully you guys, if you're going to be watching even today's show because it's so nice out, go back and you can rewatch it by all means. If you want to catch a little bit and then watch it later, go ahead. You can find it on the Underground Radio C Facebook page. You can watch it there again, the Jess TV Facebook page, YouTube as well. And I'm sure our guest will have it up on her page as well. So with that, we will introduce our guest, of course. So welcome to the show, Christa Jones. I appreciate you coming on. It wasn't quite short notice, but it was just one of those times where I was like, yeah, I'm going to have Christa on because I wanted her to sneak in and get her.
It was perfect timing for me.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is, because we all are also live on Instagram through the Jess TV Instagram, we're going to go down to solo screens when I talk and then when you talk, so that the audience will get a nice bigger picture of you when you're talking as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, introduce what you do, and how you're helping to, actually, no, I don't want to get there yet. I would like to know how you got into your business, because I think that's always an interesting story when you're a business, because it's like, oh, well, I just decided to start my business because of whatever reason, and it's usually interesting. So without further ado, please take over the stage.
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Christa Jones. I'm the owner and founder of Rose City Professional Organizing. We are based in Camrose, Alberta, and we have expanded to Edmonton, Calgary, Fort McMurray, and pretty much everywhere in between. We do travel. So the way that I started the business was looking for something to do as a side hustle, just to make some extra cash for investment money, kids' future savings. And I was working a part-time job in an assembly factory. It was very just sort of like, monotonous work, doing the same thing every day. And I was looking for something that maybe would be a little bit more sparky and like exciting to me. And one day my next door neighbor was unloading boxes from her vehicle into her garage, and I asked her why. And she told me that her father was ailing health. So he was moving into long-term care, and she needed to get his stuff out of his apartment. And I offered to help, go through everything and help sort and categorize, and maybe bring him some things and ask what he wanted to keep, what he wanted to give to family members, what we could donate. And she said that would be an amazing idea. So we planned to do that a little later. And then I went and told my mom about this on the weekend, and she was like, you could totally help people with their clutter. And I was like, yeah, I could be a clutter coach. So I Googled professional organizers in Canada, organizers and clutter coach, and the POC website came up, professional organizers in Canada. And I went, okay, this is a thing. There's a lot of websites on here. I kind of clicked through them, saw what some of these organizers were charging, and I decided I'm going to do it. So posted on Facebook Marketplace, mommy groups, buy and sell, like calm the clutter, clear, your life. And it just blew up. Like I had within 5 minutes a client. And then after that, I had a client booking a whole home. And once I was posting before and afters on Facebook, I was driving all over Central Alberta, just little old me in my minivan, loading up donations and hauling them away to donation centers, and people like being like, you changed my life in 6 hours. So there's a lot more to the story, but that's pretty much the gist of it, how it got rolling.
Wow. Okay. So that's what I love about, just a little business to kind of start, is that sometimes we don't even have the intention of going into what your career is. You decide, okay, like you said, you're just helping out a friend and you thought, okay, yeah, and someone gave you a compliment saying, Christa, you are really, really good at this. And I think that's kind of when you get the light bulb idea of like, okay, yeah, maybe I could do this as, a full-time business. So when you decided to make this your full-time business, what were sort of the steps? Like you said, you posted on Facebook and you had friends kind of doing that, but what were the next steps sort of after that to really dig in deep to getting, a little bit more clientele?
So if anybody has been thrown into an entrepreneurship position, they might be able to relate to this story, because I was just doing it as a side hustle. Evenings after my full-time job, I would go and work a 4-hour shift, like 6 till 10 with a client. And then weekends, I was doing the 6-hour shifts, like doing 10 to 4. And I was doing that because I had a job. And so the side hustle money was just bonus cash. But when COVID happened, it caused me to lose my job, because we were an assembly factory. Manufacturing just stopped, construction stopped, everything shut down, and I lost my job. So at that point, I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to be doing organizing full time. And I ended up doing online virtual declutter parties, having women come on Zoom, and like I would coach online in a group setting. It was amazing. I was able to do declutter challenges and just do one-on-one coaching with people. And then eventually we were allowed to go back into homes with, safety protocols in place. And I got a lot of calls from very busy nurses. Actually, there was a lot of people who their homes have just gotten out of control, and also moms parents who were homeschooling their kids and then working from home and just being stuck in that environment, being like, oh, we need help to organize all of these like multi-use spaces. And we have so much clutter. We didn't realize it until we are stuck living in this house and we can't escape it. Like we can't go travel. We can't go out to eat, And so I was getting all these phone calls and I'm like, wow, this is a thing. People have been meaning to do this for years, and now they have no excuse to put it off, but it's so overwhelming. They don't even know where to start and couldn't do it themselves. So to be honest, the steps were literally just answer the phone and show up, because people were like, we need your help. So I kind of got thrust into that.
Okay. Talk about a declutter challenge, because that to me sounds quite interesting. So what did you do? Because this was all virtual like we're doing now. So how would you do a declutter challenge? Was it like a group challenge, or did someone have to post what they're doing? Bring us through that.
Yeah, so we do two different kinds. So the live group declutter party that I had virtually over Zoom was for 2 hours. And everybody would pick their priority space, and I would give them, send them an email of like, have all these supplies ready to go, have a babysitter or someone to watch your kids. And we are focusing for 2 hours on this space. And they would have their cameras turned on so that I could see their space, and they would get to it and they would just start sorting, and I would be walking them through my steps and talking them through it. And then if they came back to the camera, I'm like, what do I do with this? I could tell them what to do, or I would check in and be like, hey, is everybody doing okay? And do we have any questions about sentimental items? And then people would just pitch in and ask questions, and it was super fun. We'd have a glass of wine and they'd be organizing, and I would just be sitting here like, yeah, you got this. With some music playing. So I had to rock something because I couldn't go into homes, and everybody was like, we need help. And I'm like, well, I can help you over Zoom. So we did that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That sounds like a lot of fun. I know, with doing lives as well, because I was the same, going into my business. Luckily, all my stuff sort of happened again during COVID. It was like that time it took off. But a lot of things that you learn over doing lives is the interesting things that happen on the other side. And also the technology. I mean, that's just a challenge in itself. So I could imagine some of the interesting stories. So if you want to share maybe a couple of stories, like one really funny story and maybe one that maybe changed someone's life, if you could get into that, that might be kind of fun.
Yeah. We come across all kinds of people in all kinds of situations doing the work that we do, especially in home organizing when we are helping declutter, coach, and organize a space. There's a lot of people going through a lot of situations, and many of them are like transitionary. They're moving, or they've had a new baby, or they are saying goodbye to their babies, like empty nesters, right? And so I think in regards to funny situations, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question, because we always have so much fun with our clients, even in kind of the stressful, overwhelmed situations. We try to come in and like lighten the mood and have fun. And we always say, yeah, it's a lot easier when it's not your stuff, and we're here to help, and we actually enjoy this. And people think we're crazy, but it's true. We love it. And I think, some of the funny stories are just people finding things that they were like, I was wondering where that was, for years they've been missing it. And we find it, and we're like, what is this? And they're like, oh, I've been looking for that forever. So, those kind of funny things that just kind of happen and lighten the mood. There's one story, and it's kind of maybe off kilter, but that's my humor. So me and my other organizer, Laura, we were working in a home with a lady, and we were going through her office stuff. And she, her husband had passed away about 5 or 6 years prior. And so we were organizing her entire house. We were going through the office and sorting pens and batteries and, film canisters, like those old rolls of film. And Laura finds this empty film, like a clear canister, and she holds it up, and it looks like there's dirt in there. And she's like, what's this? And the lady's like, oh, that's Rick. And we're like, Rick? And she's like, yeah, my husband. Like, those were his ashes. And Laura's like, oh, I'll just put it over here. And we're both looking at each other like, oh my God, how do we handle this situation? But she just said it so casually, like, oh, that's Rick. So that was a funny one. I don't know. That's my humor. Like, I think that's funny.
It actually kind of is.
And anybody.
It's kind of, a unique story. And I mean, yeah, it could be a sense of humor where it's like, obviously, she wanted to have a piece of him with her all the time. So it's actually kind of cute. It's kind of sweet. And then it's like, of course, being, a declutter kind of queen, seeing ashes, I mean, you just think, okay, obviously, maybe it's just dirt trapped inside. And, you're just like, okay, well, what do you just want to throw it out or wash it or something. And then obviously she's like, well, no, that's, actually something. So when it comes to, this is sentimental, obviously. Now, I do have another friend of mine who does sort of something similar to what you do. And she thinks of all these great ideas to do things with sentimental items. So what are some ideas or one of the greatest things that you do with sentimental items, maybe even similar to the ashes? Like, what would you do with that?
And that's where, we kind of deal with those things where people are so overwhelmed with the clutter that the special things, the sentimental things, the ones with the most value and importance, they kind of just get buried. And that's, it's just, you don't know where to put things because things don't have a home. And so because the clutter is taking up all that space, these valuable and important sentimental things are just sitting in boxes somewhere and not getting the attention that they deserve. And so we love to bring those things into the forefront and say, let's clear out this clutter that's taking up all this valuable space and present these things in a more, respectful way. And so we can help them really bring to life their intentions about, oh, I wanted to hang this picture, or oh, I wanted to put all of these photos in a photo book. Or we want to take pictures of all these sentimental artworks that my kids have made and actually print like a photo book out of them so that they're not all just scattered, they're all contained. So yeah, we definitely can help with, containing things, labeling them, or also displaying them. And shadow boxes are great. If you have special items that you want to frame in a shadow box and hang on your wall and create a really pretty gallery wall with them and some other beautiful items and artwork, that's a really great way to highlight special items, is like a shadow box with a gallery wall. So, but you need to clear the clutter and get all the other stuff out of there so that you have the bandwidth and the space to be able to feature those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if you go and, Pinterest or, just Google up shadow box ideas, there's so many ideas that you can do. You can have, different stages of the kids growing up. You can have, maybe your wedding stuff in one or whatever. And I think it's one of the greatest things I've heard of, people taking even like kids' clothes or, their favorite shirts or something and making like a quilt idea out of that. And then it becomes like a generational thing that they can pass down to their children as well. And then it's not like a big Tupperware of clothes. It becomes, something more sentimental, like a throw even that you can pass on to the kids as they grow up or something like that. So I've heard of many really super cool ideas. One other thing I want to get into was because I thought I knew a little bit about you, but, part of your bio, which actually kind of stood out to me. And I just kind of want to know how this helps your business or helps your clients, I should probably say, but you are certified in hypnotherapy. And then you're also, there's emotional freedom technique and the time technique. So if you want to kind of take me through that, because I'm like, this sounds really interesting. So how do these things help your business or help the clients in that situation?
Exactly. So over the past 5 years, working with clients in their homes, it became very clear to me that there are so many subconscious beliefs and basically programming that has caused the environment to become what it is and to be in the state that it's in. And so we can work with our clients on site and physically do the declutter coaching and teach them the skills and then show them how to organize and create boundaries and label everything and then leave it to them to maintain. And they usually do a really incredible job without us having to come back to do too much maintenance. However, in those 6-hour sessions that we are working with them, they are sharing a lot of like past history and how they were raised, examples that they were shown in, mindsets that they have about possessions and money, spending money, giving away things, throwing out things, being wasteful, or just being unable to maintain, like, I just can't do it, right? Like it would just constantly, I would be hearing all of these beliefs that my clients had about themselves come up and out during the coaching process. And those beliefs were causing them to act in a certain way that then created the outcomes in their home and in their life. And I began realizing that it's nice to deal with the stuff, like it's a tip of the iceberg though, because underneath all of that physical chaos, right, is more like internal chaos that's happening. And we need to start to deal with and address and shift those beliefs and those even identities that people have, so that this doesn't happen again, so that they can have different outcomes and have, a better future. So that's where a lot of the subconscious work is dealing with the things that are causing that external outcome. I literally just the picture of the iceberg. That's all I see every time someone asks me, how does it help your business? I'm like, well, I think physical things and it brings up all of this stuff that's underneath. And then I have to help my clients, empower them to deal with that stuff too, because now they have all this bandwidth and energy to go, oh, I'm not dealing with the physical clutter anymore. And I have a bunch of internal crap that I need to manage. So I love being able to help people with that stuff. That's why I got into this, was the clutter coaching side of things, not the organizing. I mean, that's a cherry on top, but 75% of what we do is that declutter coaching. And when somebody lets go of something physically that's no longer serving them, like there's an emotion and an attachment to it that then they're like letting go of something even deeper. And they're like, oh, I feel so relieved. And I'm like, well, yeah, no. So it's pretty deep stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine because even like I'm the same. I can be very sentimental and I'm just like, I'll hang on to clothes forever. I'll hang on to pictures or, whatever. And then it's just like, it's part of my past. And I'm going, okay, how do I, get rid of even just clothes? Like some clothes are from trips or from whatever. And then I realize, okay, well, yeah, I could pass it on to someone that they would like it or make the shadow boxes or whatever. But I'm still like, it's so hard for me to get rid of things. And I can understand when it comes to, maybe even someone passing away, like I don't know. I think it would be really hard to depart with, loved ones' clothes. Um, Take us through, how do you manage? I always don't like to go to the death situations or whatever, but I think it's something important that maybe, we could touch up on just for a couple minutes. How can we help loved ones with, those that have passed away with their items?
Yeah, and it is very common. Grief and loss are one of the biggest traumas that cause people to actually start to hold on to things and the hoarding situations that we see. And every loss that they have subsequently causes them to grip tighter and tighter to the things that they do have. And so that can be physical things. And everything you own has an emotion attached to it, an energy attached to it, a memory or a belief attached to it. It's not just a physical thing. And that's where, we have to remember we are like integrated beings. And so you can't just be like, oh, well, it's just this, like, just chuck it. No, like you said, you have memories attached. And so especially if it belonged to someone that is no longer physically with you now, that was their item. And seeing that item reminds you of them, brings you comfort, helps you remember maybe the days that they wore that shirt or the special occasion that you used that item or the memories that you made reading, that special book together. All of those memories and emotions are stored in your brain, in your subconscious, in your body. And every time you see that item or touch it, you're reminded of that person. Like your subconscious can bring all that shit up and it just happens, right? And so we really don't have a lot of control over that. And that's where we have to give ourselves a lot of grace. And so if you're dealing with or helping somebody who's dealing with a lot of loss or grief or trauma, that patience is so important. And that being able to understand and put yourself in their shoes and say, okay, this may not make sense to me. I may not have that sentimentality about that thing, or I may not even have had that connection with that person the way that, you did. But I need to put myself in your shoes and really make an effort to understand and be patient with you, because it's really, really hard for people who have lost someone and it's building on other losses that they've had in their life. And it just compounds, and then it makes it harder and harder and harder to let things go. So usually the older that we get, the harder it gets, because the more losses we've, experienced and patience and grace and just working to understand. But that's why I have a company. That's why I have a job, because it's a lot easier to help someone who's not my family member. It's a lot easier for family members to hire someone who is outside of the family with a different perspective and doesn't have all the emotional ties and doesn't, the buttons can't always be pressed, right? And like, we can sit and listen to the stories. We haven't heard them 50 times, and so that person feels heard and seen and supported in a different way without a lot of emotional, jagged edges. And so I think it's really important to recognize that too. Sometimes family helping family is not always the best option. And that's why we have
you would want to pass it on to the next person, and then they're getting everything.
A therapist, because I don't want her, she doesn't want to talk to me or her father about certain things. Somebody outside the family needs to help her, and there's no shame in that at all. And we pay, and we're happy that she's getting help. So it's just one of those things that we have to recognize that sometimes, family can't always help family in a specific way that a counselor, or therapist, or a coach could.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. I'd be passing on even my family stuff to my other family.
Right.
then they become the hoarders in the end. So it becomes a bigger problem, right? That's what we have to deal with. Take us through one of the most memorable, one of the most happiest moments in your business to date.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Honestly, I think the most memorable one was my very first client. And that was because I spent 4 hours in a storage room with her. The reason was she wanted to sell her home to buy a bigger house. And so we needed to declutter the storage room and organize it, and she wanted some other areas done. And in 4 hours, I had a minivan full of donations from one storage room and a bathroom. And she looked at me and went, I don't need a bigger house. I just need less stuff. And that's when I just was like, this is going to change lives. And we get clients after 6 hours, they're hugging us, they're crying, they're like, I'm so relieved, thank you so much. They've changed. In just 6 hours, they become like a different person. You just see a weight lifted off of them. You can see them realizing things about themselves and their decisions that they've made and why they purchase things they purchase. And oh my gosh, this is why I hold on to things. And it's really just every single session we do, we see the impact on a person. And but the first one that I ever did was the one that made me go, yeah, this is going to make people change their perspective of life. So,
and then it just makes you smile ear to ear, knowing that you've done something so wonderful for someone. And then it's like, you're bringing that joy to them and helping them. And I think that's one of the greatest things that we can do here is like just connecting with others and just helping each other out. And great, you get paid for it, but at the same time, you know that you are giving back to the communities in some amazing ways. I just want to go into, you're an award-winning company, and I want to share that, or you can share that, I should say. Well, and kind of bring us to what you won, and then tell us a little bit about your experience being on the news as well, and what you got to share in that experience.
Amazing. Yeah. So we've been nominated multiple times over the past 5 years by numerous awards organizations like Alberta Women Entrepreneurs, the Superlative Awards. We've also had an Icon Award finalist, actually. We've won the Canadian Choice Award for professional organizers in Central Alberta. The other awards, we were just either nominees or finalists. So I'm really excited about the Canadian Choice Award because that's our legit win. But I do love being nominated and recognized and even just getting to finals with some other incredible business owners because it just elevates, that experience of, okay, I am doing something that's being recognized and I am changing lives and people are nominating us and recognizing us. And then of course, being on the news, like being on Global and being on CBC, they recognize that we are one of the leading companies in Alberta, helping so many people across the province. And they wanted to have us on and follow us on site, do a session, and then have the cameraman there. And it was just such an incredible experience to show people from start to finish, like how fast we can work and how much we can get done. And the client was like, this is amazing. Like, I've been so overwhelmed with this space for years and they just did it in 4 hours. And it's just such a cool experience to be able to show people that professional organizers and declutter coaches exist and they are here to help. Like, it doesn't matter which one of us in Alberta you hire. You can hire my company, you can hire somebody else that resonates with you, but just ask for help. And that's why I want to be on the news and I want to be on these podcasts and on the radio, because I want people to know that this is an option. You do not have to struggle with clutter and overwhelm and stress and anxiety. And if you haven't learned to organize, we can teach you. And that's what we love to do, is teach and empower and just give you that confidence and clarity so that you don't have to struggle anymore. So yeah, I'm really excited about the exposure that we're getting and just the attention that it's been bringing to us, because then the more people know about us. So
yeah, that's super cool. What a lot of people probably don't know is I believe we are both in the Women-ition magazine as well. So that's pretty cool. So, if you guys haven't gotten your copy yet, they are literally still in the newsstands. Safeway is one place you can walk in. I know. I still see them at my local Safeway, and I actually cop a few. And then what I do is I actually autograph my page and then I give it to friends and family, because I actually still have a stack.
That's funny. Yeah, I've dropped them off at anywhere I go, whether it's like the chiropractor, the dentist, the eye doctor. Like I'm dropping those, and I have a little sticker on the front, like find me at page 26.
Yeah.
And
I'm on 21, and I'm like, I'm forever 21.
Yeah, and the new one is getting photo shoots done for it right now, so you're going to see that out in newsstands later. And so it's exciting to be in there with all those amazing women that are changing lives and making a difference in the world, do something that they love. It's great place to
it's so cool. And then we get to work together and do things like this, which is super fun and awesome, because this is how we, connect together, and we get to work together and bring more, just some information out there in the world of what we are doing, and just like, like you said, just ask and seek, and you have friends of friends, let them know, what we're doing out here, because this is something very important. And you are changing lives. So we are grateful. We're grateful for you and your business. Like that's so cool. So we're going to wrap up now, but please let us know where we can get a hold of you, where we can go to like your pages, all that really good stuff. That would be awesome.
Yeah, best place to find us is on our website. It's rosecityprofessionalorganizing.com. And you can find all the information about like decluttering, organizing, and our moving services. We do packing and unpacking as well. So that relieves a lot of overwhelm and stress. And then you can find us on social media, Instagram, we're at Rose City Organizing. And you can see all of our before and afters on there. If you want to follow us on Facebook and see us on LinkedIn, we're Rose City Organizing. So. Okay,
well, and we didn't touch upon the moving aspect because we're
that's a whole other thing.
Talking about that during sound check, but they're very busy with all of the move in, moves out. So especially right now, because it's the end of the month, I can only imagine what's happening. So maybe try to book these guys in advance, I would say.
Yeah, book us when you book your moving company. Get us to do your declutter and pack. You don't want to pay the moving company to move stuff you don't even use. It's a waste of money. And then we'll unpack and organize your new home, do all the shopping for products, storage solutions, and then label everything. So you're set up right from the start, and you can get back to living, because ain't nobody want to unpack after.
Right. I'd be at work all day going, okay, Christa, get in there and do your thing so I can come home and just be able to unwind at the end of my busy day and just, I'd even like order food as well for when I come home and be like, actually, I get you to order me food.
Yeah, pizza and wine, and let the organizers go to it.
There you go. And everyone can enjoy it. That would be awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Christa, for coming on and sharing all your cool stories. If you guys have any questions for Christa, if you want her services, you know where to find her. And it's just amazing what you guys can do in just a few hours. Like it doesn't take long at all. They just in, out, boom, bang, bada, bada, boom. And then that's it, right? So that's the fun thing. Yeah, exactly. Thank you again so very much. And hopefully we'll have you back on some other time soon.
That'll be awesome. Thanks, Cari.
You're very welcome. Have a great long weekend here in Canada.
Happy Canada Day.
Yeah, happy Canada Day. Bye. Thank you again, guys, for